And hello, everybody, and welcome back. Zane, what are we welcoming back to?
The Rock Topic Podcast.
Oh, we're so glad to have you all here.
And I'm especially excited for this episode.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, they saw the thumbnail, they saw the title. They know what it is.
We're talking about the Reds.
Stevie,
wait.
Actually, that was the color of the, that was like the main color on the Dirt
Little
record.
Wayne. Wait, Motley Crue?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Red Hot.
Yeah,
Through the... We are Red Hot. Anyway.
Yeah, you know, Red Hot.
The Blues.
The Blues.
Colton.
Yep.
What is your knowledge of the blues?
Well,
I need a baseline to build off of here.
Well, so the blues for me, the main reason I like the blues in a sense is that, first of all, it was a type of music that was created, like it's a genre of music that was created out of like not needing the knowledge of like, you know, music theory or anything like that. It was created off of, this sounds good and soulful, and you know what I mean?
Yes.
And that was the basis. Like, does it...
Well, because like the blues as a genre is not in particular very difficult to play on any instrument, really. But
doesn't have to be.
Right, it doesn't have to be. You just get like a very simple bluesy pentatonic scale.
Yeah.
And you can literally just go up and down it to any backing
For those
track.
who aren't aware, the pentatonic scale is just a good minor scale that's only got 5 notes in it, and it sounds good over anything.
Yes.
Resuming.
So whatever pentatonic scale you are going for, if you just play the matching backing track,
yep,
it's gonna sound good.
Mm-hmm. And especially on guitar, because you can take that minor pentatonic scale. It's just a shape that you can play anywhere on the whole guitar neck. So no matter what key the song is in, you can just move your hand to the right note on the guitar and just play.
And it'll sound good. So like it doesn't need to be difficult, but that's why it's such a perfect genre.
Yes,
because it is
really
the absolute best bass. And like we discussed in the previous episode that bands like Led Zeppelin are very inspired by the blues.
I was just going to bring that up, is that the blues were the beginning of rock and roll.
Yes.
I mean, that's what rock and roll came from.
Well,
entirely.
look at AC/DC.
Yep.
It's straight up like half of the blues, like main scale.
High gain blues.
Yeah. It's like,
rock is the high gain blues.
Right, because...
Shirt idea?
Well...
We'll just have like a whole shop full of t-shirts.
Blues. No, rock. High gain blues.
Yeah, exactly. T-shirts may be available soon on RiffJawmusic.com.
Insert Motley.
Crew.
Which Mick Mars, actually. No, I'm being honest now.
Yeah.
Mick Mars has a lot of blues-inspired dirty hair metal sounds. Like that Girls riff. If it wasn't played with such high gain, and if it wasn't tuned to drop D, that would sound bluesy. Like that's the scale, like that's the type of vibe that most rockers go for, because it's such a, it's like it's to the test of time, right?
You feel
like
it.
You know that it feels good to the ear.
Yeah,
People
I guess
know
like
that.
if I had to sum up the blues as a whole genre in 3 words, it would be, you feel it.
Right.
You know?
And that's where, because if like you could look at any player of the blues and immediately know like what vibe they're going for with the first few notes. Like the Doors,
The
Windows. But the Doors are...
Should not have recorded that at 3 a.m.
The Doors are a very, very heavy blues rock band. Like, not heavy as in like the sound heavy as in... That's a different kind of Riders on the Storm.
Could you imagine? Boom, boop, 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 boo, doo, 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 doo. Riders on the Storm. just like heavy screaming.
It's like, jeez.
Do, 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 do.
But I'm talking about heavy influence of the blues, right? And like you can take that sound of a very, I would say, clean blues. The Doors are pretty clean, I'd argue. And put that over something like Stevie Ray. Yeah, he is like he's clean as in the notes he hits, but he's a dirty guitar player.
Like, cause that's that. Like, there's clean blues and then there's dirty blues, you know.
And then
to the point where it's like turned into like a dark blue.
Okay.
Like that's how dirty his blues get right now.
Okay, right. And like people like Johnny Cash, very blues. Like that's more of like, you know, people call it like a Western blues, right? Just the shirt.
A shirt idea? Leave in the comments below. Would you buy a John Money shirt? Oh man. I'm seriously gonna start making these. Not even kidding.
You won't.
No. But well, now we kind of know what needs to happen. So.
Right.
I'm gonna start a Kickstarter page. No, I'm kidding. GoFundMe. Making shirts to sell.
We're gonna need 2 million. Is that unreasonable?
A goal of 2 million to make like shirts for my 78 subscribers.
But what pure blues artist do you know?
Ooh. Well, I mean, okay, BB King. Would you call pure blues?
Yes.
Okay.
And BB King is phenomenal. Now, in his own words, BB King has stated, he's like, I'm not the fastest player, I'm not the hardest player, but I know what notes to hit. And he does. Because like, especially if you watch him play live, there's not a note he hits that doesn't matter.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like
that's a really well put. Like that's a, yeah.
Well, there's no like pointless fill. There's no like I'm a little like flair. It's always what he.
It's just like instead of like hitting the emotion button and then like dancing around a little bit and then hitting it again, he just hits the emotion button every time. Each note is just like you feel it.
Yes, and
the blues, you feel it. The blues, 3 words, you feel it. T-shirt?
I'd buy that one.
Would you?
For sure.
Well,
I'd probably buy all of them, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't have to buy
them in 2X kind of thing.
But, honestly, we'll make the shirts, we'll get them in, and if we ever do the podcast on video, we'll just make sure we gotta wear the shirts.
That's awesome.
New shirt every time. Oh my gosh.
But if you listen to there's one particular video that I recommend everyone go and watch. It's him playing the song "You've Done Lost a Good Thing Now," and I showed it to you the night of the 3 a.m. podcast.
Yes, which means I have a very foggy memory of it.
Where it's just big old BB King sitting on a stool. You know, a chunky man.
Well, I was gonna say too, he's such a jolly dude. Like all the time, when you look at him, he's just like
smiling, right?
Smiling. Yeah. He's looking around,
and he's just sitting on that stool, and he starts the which is crazy because the song on the actual like record is not started with a singing. It's very as clean as BB King can get because he usually has a lot of instruments that play with him. But on this particular song, it's a very sad song. In terms, I feel
like, sorry, not to interrupt, but I feel like you've used clean to describe like 4 separate concepts so far.
Well, I'm trying to like.
But like that's how music is, right?
Yeah,
that's why you speak the widdly diddly.
Yeah, right. Because you know he's not dirty, right?
You know, like that dirty blue, dark blue.
He's not a dark blue.
Not dark blue.
Like the notes he uses, the tone is a little deeper, but the notes he hit are clean.
Deep and clean.
Deep and clean.
So not dark, but like a sky blue.
No, it's a little too light, I think.
Not too light? Was like the, or is it like the kind of
Teal, maybe.
teal? Well, that's even lighter. Like that's like an artificial light, though.
Right. No. I guess
Yeah,
that's
like
not fair,
teal's a little. Like I feel like the sky.
Aquamarine. I'm just naming a blue.
Well, here's what we should do. Just a aquamarine colored shirt, no text.
Or like really small lettering somewhere, just aquamarine. ...
Or it's an aquamarine shirt that just says aquamarine on it in black, and then in like the bottom or on the back, it'll just be like Rock Topic Podcast. Oh man!
But he starts it.
That's really funny.
On the recording of him just like playing guitar, and then it eventually swells into the rest of the band, I guess.
But it's like a swell, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
It's not like a here they are.
Yeah,
like it's,
yeah.
Okay.
It's because BB King is he very rarely plays chords. But in that song he starts like a very slow little like bow down 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 down, right, and then he builds up a little bit.
I wish we could play music during this.
I really wish we could too.
But then again, it's almost a blessing that we can't, because otherwise half of this podcast would be just us listening to other people's music.
That's very true.
We would literally spend probably half our time doing that.
But after the bow down 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 down, he goes bow down down bow bow down bow down 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 bow bow, and then that little like bridge is a ba-down down, and it's him doing a chord, which he never really does, and then he plays another like a little lick, and then he does like two pretty like heavy chords in terms of what he was originally playing.
Yeah.
And then when he plays with the band, it goes ba-da-down, 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 like
like a little off and
right, a little off and a little different. But that's when the drums and I forget, he has a horn instrument in there.
Oh,
I don't know if it's like a trumpet or whatever.
Zane, I hope you're not like missing this opportunity to show off the mouth trumpet.
Oh.
So what does the trumpet go like?
Okay, so after like you hear the ba-dun-dun, then the drums come in, and once like it goes bum bum bum, psh, right? And then after the crash,
yeah,
the trumpet goes right?
That's awesome. Give it up for Zane, the mouth trumpetist.
But it's such a swell, like, and the lyrics are amazing. Like one of the first things he says is, and this was before like the swell, because he starts off with the like the bow down 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 down, and then after the second phrase he starts singing, and he starts singing with a whoa, right? Like that's like the like no words.
Yeah.
And one of the first lines is, baby, the way I used to love you, baby, that's the way I hate you now.
Oh, I love that line.
And it's talking about,
I love that line.
It's talking about like he loves her.
Yeah.
And he still does.
Yeah.
But he knows he can't be with her. Because they just, I don't know if it's like they don't mesh well together.
It ain't working.
And the whole talk is like, oh well, you know, like the whole song is basically like, well, when we break up, I'm like, we're no longer a thing, and if that's going to happen, can I just like have you one more night?
Gotcha.
Even though I know I shouldn't, because like emotionally I'll be broken. So like that's the vibe of the song.
Yeah.
And there's no pointless note in that song.
Yeah.
Like, it's all
deliberate. It's all
to like build an emotion. Like.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about that style of like BB King blues, is that the like guitar lick and then a little bit of words and then guitar lick, you know, that like,
but
you know,
powerful licks and powerful words.
Exactly. Just and the fact that they don't always have to be at the same time, you know, because you get that like yeah, I know we just talked about Zeppelin last episode, but I think of Bring It On Home at the very beginning of that. Plant does that with the harmonica. There's like almost nothing else. It's just him really soft, telling, a couple of words, and then on the harmonica, little shuffles, little bits, and then it builds and builds and builds and builds, and it's just like that. I get the same vibe, with like a BB King or something where it's just that hard blues, like you said, soulful licks and then soulful words. And it doesn't need to be complicated. It just needs to have emotion behind it.
And then and blues is not just about sad stuff. Like that's what I feel like that's the most common misconception about the blues.
For sure.
Because I remember when I was showing my friend the blues, she was like, I don't want to listen to blues. I don't just want to listen to sad music. I'm like, that's the thing. It's not just sad. Like, it's called the blues.
Is that our Pearl Jam friend?
That's our Pearl Jam friend.
I kind of thought it might have been. I don't want to listen. That sounds exactly like something she'd say.
And I'm just like, it's not just sad. Okay, now we can... But I feel like that's the thing though with the blues. It's not a sad thing. It's more like an emotion thing.
Yes. You
can put whatever you want on the blues because there's another song that BB King has called "You're Losing Me." Mm-hmm. And it starts out with a yeah. And like that's the build up.
Yep.
And then it just kills it with like a crazy like drum fill while he's playing, and it's super like powerful. And he's angry in the song. So he sings like all of his vocals are like yelling little whoa,
yeah I love singing, that,
right? And like it's about again about a girl, right? And this one is where like she's just treating him bad, so he's getting pushed away from her, and he's like, you're losing me, like I don't want to, but you're forcing me to leave, right? And then like part of like and this is all like yelling. And if you guys have never listened to BB King sing, he has two different types of voices, I guess the best way to put it.
Yeah.
One where it's like super like soulful, like no rasp, just a really nice, clean,
nice and clean.
Clean. And it sounds great, but then he could flip the switch, and he has like a very belting, like raspy yelling voice, and that's the voice he sings on "You're Losing Me," because that's the energy he wants to convey,
Yeah.
But that's just BB King, right?
Yeah, I know. Like, we're talking about the blues, which I'll actually transition there. So like you said, it doesn't have to be about sad things. A great example of, if you want an example of a song that sure is not sad, in blues, like look at Pride and Joy, Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Oh my God.
That's just like.
And that's as that's as like pure blues as you can get.
I know,
because it's like that.
It's awesome. But
right after that,
the SRV shuffle.
That's literally the blues. Like,
and then it's like. It's just so good.
If you looked up the blues as a genre, the only sound you hear is just the from Pride and Joy, because that's literally the blues.
That's if you had to define it in one
was just that section of
the SRV
Pride
shuffle.
And Joy. It's crazy.
He would, and that's the thing I liked about Stevie Ray in that regard with the blues, is that that pattern, that like shuffle that he had, I don't know, he used that so many times, and it never felt repetitive or like he ripped it from a different song, you know?
Well, because I feel like with Stevie, and more so the blues as a whole, it's really easy to make something that's played a lot sound unique. If you know what you're doing, of course. Like, because if you listen to Albert King, actually, trained Stevie Ray. Which is funny because I know we did a Stevie Ray Vaughan episode, but I don't think.
Well, you can't bring up the blues and not talk about Stevie Ray Vaughan,
right? And
it's not allowed.
I don't think it was conveyed very well in our podcast about Stevie Ray, but I absolutely adore that guitarist. Like,
yeah.
And not just a guitarist, but as a musician, as a person. Like, he's the reason I picked up guitar. So, like, that, he means a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget how old he was. I think he was 17, actually.
Wow. Wow.
He went to a blues fest with his brother, Jimmy Vaughan, which was in the Fabulous Thunderbirds, if you guys know that one.
Okay.
And Jimmy Vaughan's a very good guitarist, too. Not as good as Stevie, but clearly there's like a...
He got something that he didn't.
Yeah, I would say Stevie's level's a little bit up there. And they went to a blues fest where Albert King was, and Stevie looked up to Albert King, and Albert King said, and now don't quote me if this is not completely accurate, but I've done a lot of research on this story, so I think it's right. He said, "Oh, does anyone want to come up here and exchange the licks with me? Like, I'll play a little, you play a little," and Stevie raised his hand, and this is from Albert's own words.
Yeah.
He's like, "What's this little kid gonna come up here?" Because Albert King's 6'4", or was 6'4".
Yeah.
Stevie was like 5'5".
Yeah.
So when Stevie raises his hand and he goes up there, he's like, "What does this kid know about, guitar or whatever?" And he brings his ratty number 1 up there, right? But this was before it had the SRV logo and the black pickguard.
I sure hope so. Like, that'd be kind of like if I were to put my initials on a guitar right now, when like nobody knows who you are,
But
like...
I mean, no, but it's weird because you can see pictures of him with it, and it's not as like run down. I mean, it's still run down. I mean, he bought it a little bit run down.
Yeah. But he ran most of it down.
Yeah, and like there's no black pickguard. There's no gold hardware.
Oh.
There's no SRV. So it's weird seeing him like a little young, super skinny Stevie with that guitar. It just looks odd. But he went up there, and Albert King was like, "Okay, what do you know about the blues?" And Stevie was like, "I don't know how to describe it, but I know I listen to a lot of your records." So Albert King was like, "Okay, I'll play something, and if you could match me, maybe it'll be like a good
keep
jam,
it moving,
right?"
yeah.
And he was like, "I'm gonna start with some of my songs," and he played some that were not his songs to like try and trip him up, but Stevie kept on with him. And then Albert was like, "Jeez, this kid's pretty good."
Yeah.
So he took him under his wing.
Oh, that's so cool.
Because he was like, "I was not expecting some kid to match me with stuff that I was just making up."
Yeah.
It wasn't a song. He just kept with me. And Albert King had his guitar strung up the high E, the thin E, was on the top.
Huh?
And the low E was on the bottom.
Like, was that the only difference, or were the middle strings in reverse order?
Yeah, it was reverse.
That's horrible.
That's
Why?
how he played. And he played a flying V. And the inlays said Albert King.
Oh, that's cool.
It was awesome, right?
At least it wasn't a reverse flying V.
Oh,
nasty.
Those things are nasty.
Nasty looking guitar.
But he played you can hear if you isolate Albert King's tone and isolate Stevie's, they're very similar, and you can tell because Stevie picked up basically everything you knew from Albert King.
Well, yeah, especially if even before he like took him under his wing, if he already listened to his records to formulate who he wanted to be on the guitar early.
And I know you don't like the Telecaster, but there's a man who's called the master of the Telecaster called Albert Collins.
Okay.
And there's a lot of Alberts and Kings in the blues community.
Yep, I believe it.
But Albert Collins was one of Stevie's like closest friends in terms of like blues. So he learned everything he got, but well, not everything, of course. So like I'm being hyperbolic, but he learned the most of what he got from Albert. But Albert Collins, when they started to play together, he let him soar. And then of course, a blues artist that I want everyone that's listening, if they aren't already interested in the blues at all,
let's be real. If they made it 25 minutes into this podcast, they're interested in the blues, at least to some point. Or they don't like anything about what we're saying and just
love us.
For some reason enjoy our, let's be honest, quite stupid banter sometimes.
Yes, very, very, very stupid.
We got I want to shout this out. We had a really nice comment on a couple episodes ago now, but it was a really nice comment about someone. I think it was like Dorothy Lover or something like that was the name, but very nice
Hello,
comment.
Dorothy.
Yeah. Yep, it was a very nice comment just saying that they enjoy, regardless of topic, our, way of going back and forth. So we really appreciated that.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's very sweet.
All right, continuing. Lots of kings and BBs.
Right.
I'm kidding.
And we're gonna
Alberts and kings.
and we're gonna slap that away. And I want to shine light on a very phenomenal blues artist that I don't think gets enough recognition because of where he was born and how late he started in the blues game.
Okay.
Which is Buddy Guy.
Ah, yes.
I absolutely adore Buddy Guy. And he got his I love the story of how he got his name. So he barely knew how to play guitar, but he went to a music like a blues bar every night as a kid though. I think he was like 15 or whatever.
Okay.
And the blues artists would keep their guitars like separate from where they were sitting because like you're not gonna drink at a bar with your guitar everywhere, right?
Well, I mean, most people wouldn't, but I don't know. You might see me. No. It just got like my guitar.
So when they would try and like talk to him, they'd either call him Buddy or Guy.
Oh, I suppose, yeah.
They're like, "Oh, hey, buddy, can you get my guitar?"
Yeah.
Or, "Hey, guy, come here, get my guitar."
Yeah.
And it kept going until this one guy was like, "Who's that, Buddy? Buddy Guy?"
Oh, Buddy Guy.
And Buddy Guy heard it and was like, "I like it. It has a good ring."
Yeah, Buddy Guy.
So he picked up one of their guitars and was like, "Hey, can I start playing?" And now keep in mind, has to be around like 15, 16.
Yeah.
And he's been at this blues bar for years now.
Yeah.
Never playing though. So when he finally picks one up, kind of just osmosis, what he learned from being around there, he started playing some blues stuff. And all the other guys were like, "Are you serious? Like, we see you come in here all the time, but you never played it before."
Yeah.
And he was like, "I just watch you guys. I watch your fingers. I watch your guitars. I see what notes you hit." And he was playing like recognizable blues.
Yeah, like
First
beyond
time.
what a first timer should be able to even muster.
First time picking up a guitar.
That's incredible.
And they were like, "Okay, clearly."
Someone's been taking
doing.
notes.
Clearly, you know what you're doing.
Buddy Guy.
And I believe one of the people that went to the blues bars bought him a guitar.
Aw.
For it, like they went home and then they purchased him a
awesome.
very rundown Fender Strat. But like that's what
legends are born on beat up Fender Strats. I feel like if you have a beat up Fender Strat, that just means you were destined for greatness just from the start.
And one of the biggest people Buddy Guy looked up to was probably one of the original creators of the blues.
Yeah.
Which is Muddy Waters.
Oh, okay.
And
I like the name.
Right?
When you said Muddy, I was like, oh, what's... you're like Muddy Waters, and I was like,
So Muddy Waters was the guy who... so you've heard the... Bow down, bow down. Where have you heard that before? Bow down, bow down. Dum, 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 dum. Bow down, 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 down.
Yeah.
Like, what's one song that you know? It's probably not coming to your mind.
Like...
I'm bad to the bone.
That's what it was. I couldn't think of the name, but it was the... Yeah.
He created that riff. He created it. Muddy Waters did.
Okay, that's cool.
So that's like his riff, and BB King has used it. I don't even know who sings "Bad to the Bone." George something. George something.
Yeah, sure.
But
you know what? Sorry, real quick. May I interrupt?
Yeah.
One thing that reminds me of, as we've been talking about like the SRV shuffle and some of these like classic blues, I don't want to say tropes, motifs. That's kind of what I'm looking for. All I can think of is when we were making the joke way back, the Motley Ray Vaughan joke in that Stevie Ray Vaughan episode, when you were like, what if every Motley song was structured around the dun doo dun doo dun doo doo, like the 12-bar blues? Oh, and that just got to me because that's what I was thinking of. Red Hot. Dude, doo 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 doo. To the top, we are red hot.
Imagine the down, down.
Yeah. Get like the motorcycle.
That'd be so lame.
Oh, yeah.
That would be so lame.
That'd be awesome.
It'd be kind of lame.
Yeah, a little bit.
You hear the motorcycle, you're like, here, I'm on your ride.
No, better
I'm
yet.
in the sidecar with you, buddy. You're like, what is that?
Jumps out.
Says goodbye. I'm out.
Better yet, instead of the motorcycle revving up and like the changing gears as it gets higher, it's just a motorcycle slowing down and turning off.
Oh my.
So just the blues.
Now that one would be pretty cool.
That would be the blues.
But Muddy Water.
Yes, Muddy
Waters. He was not as well known as he probably should have been. You know?
Yeah.
He's created a lot of the riffs that a lot of people use and love of the blues. Because he was one of the first electric guitar blues players.
Oh, okay.
And when the Beatles got big, when they flew to America,
I'm kidding.
Right?
Yeah.
To do their tour, the second they got there and they got out, of course, a reporter was there to interview them the second they got off their plane.
Of course.
And they were like, what are you going to do the first thing you're in America? And John Lennon was like, are you kidding me? The only thing to do when you're in America is go see Muddy Waters.
Wow.
So at this point, the reporter literally replied back being like, oh, is that like a lake or something? Like, he was so not recognized as well as he should have been for being as legendary of a.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad.
If you want to open up the bag, of blues riffs,
okay, and you reach
dip your hand in,
yep,
and then you pick out a Stevie Ray one, and you open that one and you reach in, you pull out maybe an Albert King lick that he did and Stevie perfected. Yep. You open that, you reach in, you're pulling out Muddy Waters.
Really? Wow.
Muddy Waters is the ground
zero.
That allowed the electric blues players to climb up.
That's super cool.
Yeah, he's super unrecognized, and it's not fair, I don't think. Because you can literally click on any Muddy Waters songs, go to, and you recorded them all live in a bar. That's cool. And you can hear it too, because people will be laughing, and in the middle of him singing and playing, he'll talk to one. It's awesome. I
love the vibe of a live record, always.
And all of his ones are like that.
That's so cool.
So if you go to his first record and play the very first song there, and you listen, you're gonna hear Stevie, you're gonna hear Albert, you're gonna hear
cool.
B.B. King.
That's really cool. But in reality, you've been hearing Muddy Waters, listening to them. That's cool.
And it's awesome. So yeah, my love for the blues runs deep.
Well, no, I'm glad you shared that. That's really interesting to know that it goes kind of back to someone like that isn't, you don't see that name popping up on every marquee and on everybody's top 10 Spotify listened artists. Man, if only people back then would have known about Spotify. You know what I mean? And the fact that literally the music they've made has been preserved or will be preserved forever.
Right. Well, I mean, a very blues inspired, but people call this guy kind of the father of modern rock and roll, Chuck Berry.
Oh yeah.
One of his records.
How have we not talked about Chuck Berry yet?
Chuck Berry's one of his records is in space.
Hmm.
You know about the golden records?
Wait, what? Are you serious?
Yeah, so humans... You never heard about this?
He recorded a record in space?
No, he didn't record a record in space. One of his
records is in space. Oh,
yes.
Okay. I was going to say, I feel like I should have known about this if he literally went up into the... if he got launched into space to record a record. What the heck?
Yeah, he's floating doing the leg jump.
He's got a little leg kick.
But that's the one. It's up in space. Have you ever heard about that?
Okay, that sound I have not, but that does sound a lot more feasible.
Okay, so
than him recording it in space.
A little fun fact to know more about us as people, or I guess me. I'm super into space. I love astrology, and I'm big on planets, and I love that stuff. And America.
Did you mean astronomy or astrology?
Oh, did I say astrology?
Yeah.
I mean astronomy.
Okay,
sorry.
good.
I get them. I get him confused.
I was gonna say, Zane, love you, but please let's not talk about astrology on the show.
What is astrology again?
We don't need to get into
Is
that.
that like the zodiac stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like we don't need to bring that up.
Well, no, I'm not. I don't believe in that malarkey.
Oh,
malarkey.
Oh, I'm not gonna comment.
No, I'm kidding.
Not gonna comment.
Yeah, it's not bull malarkey. It's whatever you guys think it is. Yeah.
Okay, moving on. The blues.
Yeah, I mean astronomy. My bad.
Okay, cool.
I love that stuff, and America sent up two. Well, and I guess NASA sent up two. Golden records. One that has a hello from every language in the world.
Oh, that's cool.
And then different musicals, like musical numbers, and
oh, cool.
What's his name? Blind Willie. I think Blind Willie Johnson.
Okay.
He's a he's like an acoustic blues player, and I have to talk about him.
Okay.
Because there's not much known about his life.
Okay.
But the only few things that we do know is like this man lived literally the purest of like sad blues lives that you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
So
sad life, great music kind of thing.
Well, I mean, when I first heard about it, I'm not gonna lie, it made me cry. Like, and the ending of like not his life, but like the fact that he lived through such hell, and then he passed away on like. Okay, I'll just go into a story real quick. Yeah. Like he deserves the recognition.
Yeah, for sure. And then make sure we don't forget about wrapping up the space thing, because that'd be kind of a...
He's part of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is like, let's make sure you don't get into this story, and then we just never go back to the space thing.
No, trust me. Like,
okay, cool.
I brought him up for a reason, because I actually forgot about it until I just brought up the Chuck Berry's records in space. So not much is known about him, but we do know that at 8 years old, his husband's wife, so stepmom, threw lye in his face and blinded him.
Threw what in his face?
It's called a lye, like LYE. It's like a.
Oh, okay.
I forget what it is.
Okay.
But it's like a chemical. Threw it in his face and it blinded him.
Oh my gosh.
But he loved the sound of music. So he found actually, I think a guitar store gave it to him. A very like nasty broken acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And he played a slide with a pocket knife.
Oh, that's cool.
And he's like a very like raspy voice.
Yeah.
So you just hear like the acoustic playing and then the slide of the metal of the knife, and it's a very unique sound. And he made records, but he couldn't like see, and he didn't know much about. He got blinded at 8. He didn't learn a lot.
Yeah.
So he made a lot of like sad, deep sad blues stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the record company that allowed him to release his music took 80% of his money, and he didn't know. And then his house burned down, the one that he lived in as a kid, and all we know about him dying is that after his house burned down, he just laid down and didn't move until he died.
What?
Yeah, so he just lay down on his back during a storm, and he just like stayed there until he died in like the remains of his burned house. He was that like,
whoa.
And he died at like 48.
Whoa. Wait,
yeah.
So like his house burnt down and that finished, and then he did this?
Yep.
Okay. So he just like, how long was he like laying there?
No one knows. It wasn't like determined, but like that's all. Yeah, because that's where his body was found, and it was very, very clear that he voluntarily laid down.
Whoa.
He was just that done with life, I guess.
That's okay. That is a whole different.
Horrific?
Well, it's horrific, but it's like, man, that's something. Because like, it'd be one thing if you just like, okay, trigger warning again. If you're sensitive at all to the topics of like suicide and things like that, maybe skip ahead a few minutes. But anyway, like if you were wanting to end your life,
you wouldn't think that'd be the way to go. You wouldn't.
You'd think you would maybe do something. I won't give specific examples, but like, you wouldn't want to. You'd want to probably do something that maybe be like, quick, get it over with, finish, that sort of thing.
He was sick at the time.
Sick. Okay.
So I think he was sick and it was raining, so he just like let the cold kill him.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
I
pretty.
mean, that just to like lay down and like literally lay down
Yep. He laid on his back and just passed.
and just laid there. That's so bizarre to me.
But the reason I bring him up,
Probably bizarre to most people.
yeah, no, it was like weird to me. But the like that's not the part that made me cry.
Okay.
But what made me cry is that like if like you think about space and like regardless of like your like religious beliefs or anything like that, it doesn't matter. Yeah, because as far as we know and as far as our history tells us, the universe is infinite. And they sent up those 2 golden records and they put one of his songs on it.
Oh wow.
And the song is called Dark as the Night. There's no lyrics. It's just like him playing guitar with that slide on the pocket knife and just like singing along, like humming to it. And it's called Dark as the Night, and they sent it up there. So like all that hardship he went through, and like he doesn't
get to know
that like one of the 2 songs that was sent up by people who made songs in like America, that his was one of them.
That's crazy.
So if you think about his life, like he probably thought he was worth nothing.
Yeah.
That like none of his things mattered and that he was just playing music to play it. But now one of like above Led Zeppelin, above Stevie, above Jimi Hendrix, all these legendary people.
Yeah.
His song's up there.
That is so crazy.
But isn't it like it was more of like a like it's just amazing to think about.
That really is. Wow, I never would have known that. That's super cool. I mean, it's not cool, but it's cool to know.
But like listening to it is just haunting.
Yeah, I believe it. Well, I mean, Dark is the Night. I mean, written by someone who couldn't see. You can imagine kind of what that vibe.
And there's no lyrics.
And honestly, to me, if like a song like that where there's no lyrics, just humming, that can be just as powerful and haunting as some of the like best poetic lyrics ever written. You know what I mean? It like when there's a feeling behind it, I feel like that can be, like no words more powerful than a million,
When I watched the video of like the golden record in space, of course I knew the song before.
Yeah.
Cause like I know a lot of like old timey blues. I like listening to that when I'm just like vibing. Like if I'm cleaning the room, and I like put on some like back porch acoustic 50s 40s blues or whatever.
Yeah.
And like that's like I enjoy that. I can listen to that for hours. So I knew of the song before. I didn't know like a story or whatever. But when I watched the video on the golden records up in space, I looked at the comments and someone was like what a better way to signify like our world and humanity than Dark as the Night. Like out of all songs they could have picked, like that was a perfect choice. And I didn't know it was on there, and I was just like, that's really is like a
wow.
It is a great song to decide like if it was ever found, like by like okay, like let's say you believe in aliens, right? Let's just say you believe, right? Regardless of if anyone does or doesn't, it doesn't matter to the like what I'm trying to say.
Hypothetically, aliens.
Yes, right. And the people who sent it up do believe that there's. I mean, they wouldn't have sent it up if they didn't believe that there was intelligent life up there,
or if they didn't or rather that they didn't dismiss the possibility.
Right. And can you imagine like what songs they carefully chose to put up there, and they put that one on, and they set that up in the 70s.
Wow.
The blues.
The blues. Ladies and gentlemen, this has officially been the saddest and most heavy-hitting episode of the Rock Topic so far, but definitely not for worse though. Like this has been a super cool episode so far.
Well, if you think about all the people that we love now, like B.B. King and Buddy Guy, Albert Collins, Freddie King, all these people that have gotten their livelihood, their namesake from the blues.
Yeah.
These are the building blocks it was built off of.
Yeah.
Like Muddy Waters and Blind Willie Johnson and Robert Johnson, which we have to talk about him.
Okay.
Because I told you he's the guy that everyone says that went to the crossroads at midnight got created by the. Like, this is what I love. Okay, hold on. I was talking to Colton about this like a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's such because I don't believe it, right? But it's like the coolest origin story for a genre of music.
Yeah.
Someone who's absolutely terrible at playing guitar, has no skill,
Yeah.
goes to the middle of a crossroads at midnight.
Okay.
Is greeted by the devil. The devil asks to tune his guitar, and he says sure. He lets him tune, and then immediately he can play the nastiest, awesome licks that you could imagine. But the devil takes your soul, and he died at 27, and then the 27 Club.
Whoa.
Isn't that like such a cool origin?
Oh, that's yeah.
But like Hendrix 27, Jim Morrison 27, Janis Joplin 27, Kurt Cobain 27, Amy Winehouse 27.
I never knew that. That's freaky.
But imagine, like, so he got the fame he wanted, or the skills to play guitar as he wanted.
Yeah.
But the devil was like, I'm not gonna let you live long.
Wow.
But like, just imagine that visual: some lowly blues man, just one in talent, walking his crusty old acoustic behind him,
Yeah.
being greeted by the devil, being like, "Hey, let me tune your guitar for you, buddy," and just taking it, letting him tune it, and handing it back to you. You have unmatched talent, but he takes your soul.
Whenever I hear that type of thing, all I can think of is the super hyperbolized version of that, being the entire movie Tenacious D in the Pick of Destiny.
Oh my god! If
Have
you
you
think
ever
of that devil, then it's not cool at all. That devil's so lame.
No, seriously, that movie, it just gets to me because, like, especially when they're like, how do they write such good songs? And then they look at all those magazines of all the famous guitar players, and they all have like a poorly photoshopped in like the pick. They all use the same pick, and then they go to Guitar Center, and they're like, hey. You know, like, have you seen one of these? And he's like, and like takes him into the back closet. If you've never seen Tenacious D in the Pick of Destiny, watch it. You'll probably not want to watch it again, but you'll enjoy having watched it.
It's an experience.
You will be experienced.
Are you experienced? See how quick, guys? See how quick it happens, you know?
Exactly. Oh man.
But yeah, that's such a cool like origin story for the blues.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because that's the first like known like main story of the blues that everyone knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just built up from there. Like, and speaking of Robert Johnson, like if you listen to his music now, it straight up sounds like he has two guitars, but it's only one acoustic, and you can't fake that back then.
Yeah, no.
And it's like. That's why people say that he was probably like, you know, he gave his soul to the devil for unmatched talent.
Well, and of course, like you say things like that with a story, all it took was one person to say that, someone else to think, maybe, and then as soon as that story starts getting told and told and told and told, you know, well, and now it's almost just accepted as like the legend. You know, that's how legends spread.
And not to, well, thank you, Colton, for letting us know how legends spread.
Mm-hmm. Now that we know. Sorry. By telling people, of course.
It was hilarious. It's like, oh wow, did you hear that cover of that cover of that cover of that cover of the original? And it's like, wow, they do that. It's like, well, they just played the same song.
And you know who the first person to play it was?
The devil.
Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan.
Oh.
All along. The watch tower.
I would cry if I found out every song ever written was written first by Bob Dylan.
Even the ones like Mozart?
Yeah.
You're like, wow, how did he learn all that stuff? And it's a Bob Dylan.
It's like
no, it's like it really. Wait, no, you go back to the original piece, the original sheet music for Mozart, and they get like very super minuscule, like you have to like,
and it's like half erased
of just like
BD. Well, and then you do like the classic like.
Wait, hold on. It's like, did you write that BD or?
What? Oh my gosh. Or
Did you write that before BD or AD?
Or like and then you start looking into it, you know, you're like looking into the history of it, and you start doing like the time traveler thing where you like look at all these pictures throughout history, and in every single picture he's in there. Like somewhere in the background you see Bob Dylan in like every picture throughout history. Like even in like the Beatles, when like they're walking across the street, that picture, he's one of the civilians in the background. Like you start looking through all the histories. What?
I don't think there's any civilians in the.
You didn't think so?
Road.
Take another look. And there he is. He's in the window, one of the stores or something on the street.
The blues.
The blues.
Anyway,
but no, like seriously, it's just like you go back to like the Hindenburg disaster, and on the ground in the crowd, Bob Dylan, like he's everywhere. On the stage,
that would be a terrible world.
It's just like he was behind all music.
Well, I mean, if that was the case, then good for him. But good for him. But he's written good music. But just every song, if you play a song and it says by Bob Dylan and it is like of his albums, you're gonna hate it. Always look for the covers first and then go back to listen.
Or rather, if you want to hear good music, go to a Bob Dylan album and then like Google the names of each of the songs to find the better cover that exists.
But speaking of like how we're talking about how blues is like simple to play,
can be,
but it doesn't need to be.
Exactly.
That's what I was saying. Like most of the base of the blues is super easy to play, but one of the easiest guitar experiences I've ever had was learning the song to Sweet Home Chicago.
Okay.
It's only been covered by Eric Clapton.
Okay.
But the original is by Robert Johnson.
Well, the second original.
Oh yeah.
Because of course,
Bob Dylan. The first original was Bob Dylan.
Sorry, I'll drop it. I just love that thought.
But I played the Eric Clapton version first, or tried to learn it because it's more modern, clearly.
Yeah.
So I thought, like, with my amp and stuff, because I don't have an acoustic, I was like, maybe I'll just learn the Eric Clapton one, and I got it down pretty simple. It's pretty easy.
Well, I feel like you go back to it's like Clapton, one of the most revered guitarists of all time. I'm gonna learn a Clapton song. It's like Wonderful Tonight.
Everything I've learned from Clapton has been easy so far.
Yeah.
I've learned Sweet Home Chicago, Cocaine, Wonderful Tonight. And then you think about Layla, and you're like, that's a heavy riff. Fucking Duane Allman wrote it, and is playing it on the album. It's not
on the Derek and the Dominoes record.
Yeah, that's Duane Allman from the Allman Brothers.
I love that. I'm glad that the one Clapton riff that I respect isn't played by Clapton.
He plays it live, but that's because Duane Allman's not. He's not his band.
Well, the version that I always listen to is the Derek and the Dominoes version.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. But one of the hardest experiences I've had on guitar was trying to learn the original Robert Johnson one, which is the same song. Eric Clapton covered it, but he does an overdub of the guitar. It's just Robert Johnson doing both sounds. So that weird little bass, the of Sweet Home Chicago, along with the that's Robert Johnson playing it with one guitar and one hand. Well, I guess two hands, but like one hand fretting. And it's insane.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's two people on that recording at one single time, and it's just him.
Wow.
With an acoustic in like the 40s.
That's crazy.
It's insane. And he's like the original person that shot up the blues, I guess, because like he's like the one everyone goes back to. He's like the if you look at any if you watch a YouTube video of like a history on the blues, the very, very first person they're going to talk about is Robert Johnson. He's like the basis of it, and then it just like progresses from there. And the first main electric guitar blues player is Muddy Waters. and he didn't really take anything from Robert Johnson.
So there's almost like two different schools of blues.
That's why I like to say that, like, the blues that we listen to today, Muddy Waters is the guy.
Yeah.
But, like, Robert Johnson's blues, because even the Eric Clapton Sweet Home Chicago version is more Muddy Waters in its approach.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're learning blues today, you're not learning acoustic Robert Johnson blues.
You're learning the Muddy Waters blues. Yeah.
So it's
that makes sense.
So I like, you have to give Robert Johnson his homage and credit for propping up the blues as a sound and, like, the scales used.
Yeah.
And, like, the type of music that's played.
Scales. Like multiple, like more than just the minor pentatonic scale. Or what was the music? It was Music Is Wind posted on Instagram. It was something. It was like a book cover that said there are more scales than the minor pentatonic scale.
No, there's not.
And other hilarious jokes to tell yourself. That was the cover of the book. It's like, I love that.
There we go.
I love that.
But yeah, you're not playing like you're not playing his blues when you learn blues.
Yeah.
No one is, and that's because, like, unfortunately, no one plays blues on an acoustic that much anymore.
Yeah, I definitely.
And it's a different style of. It has to be with.
Yeah, because, like, I feel like most of what we know as the blues, especially a blues lick too, is more single note, like little, just that soulful B.B. King-esque, type stuff. Stevie Ray Vaughan, single notes.
Sing notes.
Yes, notes, exactly. Whereas on an acoustic guitar, single notes don't go as easy because they're not as loud. They're not as pronounced as you would want them to be. Unless you really, make it do what you want to do.
And, like, that's crazy because, like, with Robert Johnson, he keeps the bass in there. Because there's no other instrument on his records. On none of them. It's just him and the acoustic.
Huh.
So he has to keep the bass in there. The percussion, I guess, what, like, the drum would normally be directing the song.
You're just hitting the body?
That has to be him. So so he's hitting the body.
Yeah.
He's playing the lead and rhythm guitar with two hands.
That's crazy.
So he's doing the percussion. He's playing the, like, licks.
Crazy.
Huh?
I said that's crazy.
Yeah, so he's hitting the percussion. He's playing the lead while also keeping the bass. Like, I can't even picture it. Like, it's hard to even imagine doing that.
Yeah.
But that's probably why no one ever did it again.
Yeah, because it's so difficult. Yeah.
Especially when, because shortly after that, the T model Fender electric guitar came out, and then it was like
the broadcaster, the Fender broadcast. You know what? Pencil it in someday. Podcast idea: the history of guitar as a whole.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That'd be a fun one.
I'd have to do research.
Well, yeah, we do research, take some notes, but of course. Nobody listens to this for facts and evidence. People listen to this because they like hearing us get sidetracked.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Hence the description of each of these since like episode 5 onward. It's just been we get sidetracked while talking about blank. And I think that's the most fitting description that we could have thrown on this.
I mean, I feel like at least in this one...
No, this one's been good.
I was able to throw in a lot of like cool blues facts.
Yeah, but we've also like... We've also picked such a broad topic. Like,
well, that's why. Okay, yeah. We're gonna give you guys a little bit of the behind the scenes that you guys don't hear. Originally, this is going to be about B.B. King,
just B.B. King,
because as like a blues player, and in terms of like the feeling and emotion he gives me personally, he's probably the one I listen to the most.
Yeah.
So we thought that'd be easier for me to just like educate Colton on Mr. B.B. King. But then when like we were sitting down to do it, I'm like, can we just swap it to all of the blues?
Yep.
Because like there's no way I could talk about B.B. King without going to everyone else.
Yeah, because he's so like, as has been made apparent in this like whole show, is that like he's so intertwined with the history.
Yeah, like you cannot, because that's the thing, like all these like different areas, but they all played together.
Yeah, for sure.
Like there's so many blues players that aren't like as big as B.B. King that played with him growing up. Like that was the vibe of the blues. It was basically like, whatever emotion you're feeling, let's have a jam.
Yeah, homies get together.
Yeah,
play it out.
After work, we're going to a bar and we're all jamming.
Yeah, exactly.
And like we're just making up lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
We're just making up tunes. They used to make like the percussion sound on like tables.
Yep.
To like keep the vibes going.
Yeah.
Like that was what the blues was made from.
So the blues in 3 words, you feel it. The blues in 1 word, raw.
Yes, very true. It is the most like, cause like I mean I've been trying to go through this whole blues history without bringing up where it came from, which was slavery.
Yeah.
Like I've been trying to like dance around the topic, but that's where the foundation of the blues came. Because if you listen to a lot of the way B.B. King sings, influence from
like the traditional songs
that slaves would sing.
Yeah.
On plantation. Okay, I found this fact out a few days ago when I was like just looking at B.B. King. It actually bothers me. B.B. King passed away in 2015, right? 2015. 92, I think.
Wow.
Or 89. One of the two. Oh, no. Albert King was 92. No, I don't remember what age. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
I'm not able to help you there.
I believe B.B. King was 89 when he passed away in 2015.
Yeah.
But he was born on a plantation.
Wow.
And he passed away 2015.
Wow.
That means that, like, I could have seen him in concert before he died, and he was born on a plantation.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, how it feels like such a long time ago, and, in reality, like, things like that kind of open your eyes, like, whoa, because we talk about it as history, and in reality, history happened.
Like, the fact that I could have met
a while
him
ago. Yeah.
In my lifetime, and he was born on a plantation is not okay.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
And like that's where the original blues came from, because it came from slave songs. Like, unfortunately, to put it that way.
Mm-hmm. You know what makes me blue?
Okay.
The fact that we're out of time for this episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
An hour flew by.
Yes, it did.
You know when you're eating,
okay,
and it's real tasty, and time just flies by. Your food just disappears because you're lost in it. We were lost in the sauce.
Lost in the sauce. Stirring it up. He's in there somewhere.
I'm surprised you didn't catch the drift I was going.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Lost in the sauce.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate you. Yes, absolutely. You can learn so much from it.
Give Muddy Waters a listen to. Give Blind Willie Johnson a listen to.
Yes, he deserves it.
Give Robert Johnson a listen to with his crazy 2 guitar sounding and 1 guitar playing. You could skip Eric Clapton if you want.
Yeah.
He kind of...
Go ahead.
Like, in terms of blues, too, he's basically the most basic, and he took what everyone else did and then somehow made it not cool. I like Eric Clapton, though.
It's like reverse Zeppelin.
Just dogging on him.
Yeah.
And being like, I
anyway,
actually enjoy him.
Check out Bob Dylan.
Oh, don't do that. Unless, actually, listen to Bob Dylan.
Yes.
And then go listen to any other song. No, not even a cover. Like, you can even go on the country radio and listen to the most modern country song, and it'll still be probably just as bad as the Bob Dylan song.
Oh, man.
I hate country.
Well, thank you guys so much. We appreciate you sticking with us for yet another hour of being, just rambling on, talking about what we love. If you guys want to see more of the show, subscribe, leave a like, comment. We love talking about music, so if you want to leave some stuff in the comments.
I was going to say, definitely leave stuff in the comments, because we will read them, and then we will respond if you ask questions or bring us topics that we should talk about, or you can even request music for us to listen to.
Yeah. Music builds community. That's the whole idea here. So, yeah, we appreciate you guys very much. As the
once great Stevie Wonder said, music is the language that everybody can understand.
Perfect. Well said. Yep. Check me out on Patreon if you'd like to support the show in an even more way. You get what I meant. But, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will be back next week.
We will.
Yes, indeed. We don't know what the
Thank
topic
you
is
all.
yet, but we'll figure that out.
As it goes, it'll be a topic of everything.
All right. Thank you guys very much, and we'll see you next
Bye.
week. Peace.